number one reason we lost so badly in the last election, and what do you think you could do to fix it?
And we're talking in general.
Statewide.
Of course, statewide. Well, I think overall the reason why we lost as bad as we did is because we let the Republicans dominate what the message is. We let the Republicans dominate what we stood for. They said, oh, they're the liberals, the tax and spend. Nationally, we almost sounded like we were apologizing for passing health care. We never had a focused message about what we stand up for. And I just saw a governor, for example, give a State of the State address. It's my position that the state chair needs to give the opposition address. Not just to attack her, but to stand up and let people know what we stand for. You know, if you listen, whether or not we like it or not, 770 KOB, the talk shows all day long. Right-wing rhetoric out the kazoo, right? So what if 80% or 70% of their listeners are buying into it? Why aren't we also getting on that radio show and saying, here's what our issues are, this is what we stand for as Democrats? We didn't do that. We run from the Republicans instead of running at them. We got to run right at them and say, you know, you're wrong on that issue. Not vicious personal attacks, not the kind of stuff going on right now in this little campaign, the Stop Sam website, none of that. The substantive stuff about where we stand on building this economy with jobs, jobs, jobs. Where we stand on education, where we stand on the environment. We win on every single issue with the voters in this state if we simply get our message out. We haven't done it. We didn't do it at all last time. And that's not a direct attack on Javier. It's not a direct attack on any of our candidates. But we didn't do it. And we need to change that.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez.
Well, I got a couple of perspectives on why 2010 occurred the way it did. One, obviously, is we saw this national wave, this historic wave against Democrats all over the country. I talked about some of the statistics earlier. It is a reality that happened here in New Mexico. In New Mexico tends to follow the rest of the country. Our job situation in New Mexico bottomed out right about that November election. And that was a reality. That was front and center in people's minds. They vote on pocketbook issues. And as much as I would love to, as party chair, to be able to grant thousands of jobs all over New Mexico, there was nothing that we were going to be able to do to make that happen for the people who were going out to vote. So I think one of the issues we need to recognize is that there were people in New Mexico that were concerned about their futures. The economy hit the bottom, and Democrats paid the price. And they paid the price all over the place. Internally, from an infrastructure and a party standpoint, David Montoya could talk to this issue. We had lots of conversations on it. There was a decision that was made by the Dennis campaign to run the coordinated campaign outside of the state party, completely outside of it, and marginalize the state party. I think that was a huge lesson that was learned out of it. We want to point to an issue where there were some mistakes were made. You know, Sam, the people that he's talking to, he's right. There are county chairs out there that were left out of the loop. Yeah, and saying, what do we do? Where do we go? Where do we pick up signs? And not knowing where to turn to because this coordinated effort was run on the sidelines. So I think that we learned a lesson that if you're going to run an effective coordinated effort, it has to be through the state party. The issue on the state of the state, it's a difference between Sam and I. We had a response to the state of the state. I chose not to stand up in front of the cameras to give the Democratic response. We recruited a representative, Representative King, and Senator Lopez to do the Democrats' response to the state of the state right after Susana Martinez gave hers. And it was the first time that it had been done. The difference is I think that we have to put the Democratic stars, the elected officials, in front of the cameras. I think the state party chair needs to organize that effort, not move in front of the cameras, but to move to get our elected officials because they are the ones who are the most credible in the hearts and minds of the voters that are out there. We cannot take their spot in front of the cameras. So that's an important issue. Final issue, and I'll stop on this. We learned right here in CD1, when a Democrat acts like a Democrat will be elected. That's how we win emphasizing that to our Democrats.
Okay,